Well, good morning, everyone. Well, good evening. Live from Florida. Gordon is over in Singapore. So, Gordon, I'm sitting here. The hurricane is about to hit Florida. I'm not in the path of the hurricane, but I am feeling the hurricane here in Orlando, Florida.
Wow, wow. Well, we in Singapore have never experienced something like a hurricane. The worst we get is a bad thunderstorm. So it does sound terrifying.
Oh my gosh. Well, right now I'm supposed to leave on Thursday night. So I have booked plane trips. Tuesday's gone, Wednesday morning, Thursday night, Friday morning. I have three plane trips simultaneously. Now I had to spend a bunch of money. I'll get the credits back, but just in case I'm able to go.
Wow. Is everyone trying to get out of Florida or something?
You know what? I right now the hurricane is moving slowly, and so a lot of times they don't know how it's going to impact, but we'll see. But just in case, it's supposed to hit by tomorrow.
Oh, I see. Okay, okay. Wow. I hope that all things go well for you.
Thank you very much. Hey, I almost did not come. I almost decided to stay in Chicago, but decided I had one teammate who came early, and Gordon, I knew it was bad leadership if I just left him there and stayed in Chicago and let him fend for himself.
Yeah. Like Simon Sinek says, good leaders eat last, right? And the captain never gets off the ship until everyone has done so.
Yes, yes, yes. Hey, today we're going to talk about a topic that we're looking at. Emotions aren't the enemy of good decision making. And so, why'd you pick that one?
Oh, so it's very interesting. I mean, we make decisions all the time, and leaders make decisions that sometimes can be quite stressful because they know that the decision they make has tremendous impact, and so that becomes stressful.
One of the things it starts off reading is it is normal to experience difficult and complex emotions in the face of difficult and complex decisions. When you're thinking about this, what are some of those difficult and complex emotions, Gordon?
Well, I think one of the things that many leaders I feel face in terms of emotions when making decisions is, am I making a right decision, or
Yeah,
what will my decision cause? What's the consequence? What are the consequences of making a wrong decision? I think that's the stressful part.
yeah. One of the things is that many of us don't want to sit with these uncomfortable feelings, so we try to get the decision making over with. But at the same time, we may not truly solve the problem at hand, and we often end up feeling worse. It's an productive feedback loop that bookends our decisions with negative feelings. Talk to me about that, what that means.
Yeah. So let's think about a few decisions. One that maybe costs a lot of money. So that could be one where you could make a decision and it'll cost the organization a lot of money. Another is it has impact on the people in this team. So again, that can be quite stressful. And if you make the wrong decision because you're feeling for the team, there you go. But finally, I think
Yeah.
the most difficult ones are the ones where it affects yourself, which may be ethical decisions. Uh, do you do this or you don't do that? You know?
And what it goes back to what you also wrote is we think we do not have time to invest in the decision making product process, and we definitely don't want to dwell in the emotional discomfort such as anxiety and frustration. But sometimes it can turn feel easier to turn complex decisions over to our emotions. But yet at the same time, in the midst of making hard decisions, you have to sit there and learn to look at the pros and cons of each situation. Wouldn't you say a lot of times, Gordon?
Exactly, exactly, and that can be very uneasy because your the decisions you make can be quite difficult because you don't have enough information, or you're just wondering what other people think, which you didn't get a chance to uh, circulate or find out.
Yeah. Now, you talk about this emotional bookends. Emotional bookends can be the secret weapon in making different decisions. What are emotional bookends?
Right. So missional bookends are two things basically. So like every bookend, there's a beginning and there's the end. So bookends. The beginning bookend is thinking about emotions you feel as you face the decision. So this could be, oh, I need more information,
Yeah.
or what does this person think? What was the impact of this decision? The other end of the bookend is emotions you want to feel as you look back on the decision you have made, as if in the rear view mirror. And so this is what many what coaches or psychologists would say, visualization.
Yeah.
Understanding the impact of the decision you make.
As you thought through all this and you read this article, did a scenario that you faced come to mind, Gordon?
Oh, I think we face it every day, and I'm sure Tommy, you face that too. So I'd like to hear some of your experiences. A very good example is, for example, a simple thing of, well, should I take on another coaching session
Yeah.
when my calendar is very packed and I'm about to go on a holiday, for example. Taking on another coaching session may have financial impact to me. Maybe an ethical question because, hey, I may not be able to carry this out as well as I would, or it may even impact the coachee. And there you are. So I need to start thinking about, what does it feel like taking on this decision, making this decision, or what does it feel like ending at the end of this decision?
Yeah. Two scenarios that I thought of as you're talking about it is I deal with cash flow all the time as a small to medium sized organization. And a lot of times when I'm running out of cash or I only have a couple of months, I'm in my head, I get too emotional trying to figure out, all right, what do I have to do? What happens if I don't? And so I realize I need to think through what those next step is. What is the next step? Who do I need to talk to? What's coming in? And I have to think through. Another thing I do is a lot of times when I choose not to be involved in a project or a consulting project for one reason or another, how do I think through it without letting my emotions get in the way? And sometimes I'm worried about all of these things. Okay, if I choose not to do this project, what happens with the cash flow? What happens to that relationship? What happens to all the people on the team? I start worrying about all those.
Exactly, and this article actually talks about the lizard brain and the wizard brain. And actually, if you think about the way our brain works, the lizard brain is the part that is closely connected to the feelings and the sensations of your body. So that's the lizard brain. But there's the wizard brain, which is the prefrontal cortex, where we use it for cognitive thinking. And so that's the two. So if you think about it, the wizard brain is the one where we do logical thinking, but the lizard brain is the one where we do
Yeah.
emotional thinking.
You talk about four steps. Identify the decision you need to make. Identify how you feel about the decision you have to make. Visualize your success and how it feels. Apply the emotional bookends. Talk to me about these four steps to, in some sense, to allow our thinking or wizard brain to check and channel our emotion, no lizard brain, so that we don't make reactive choices.
Exactly. So most of the time, especially when you have to make a decision in a snap, then it's very likely that you engage your lizard brain. In other words, you do it out of impulse, you do it out of subconscious thinking. But if you have a little time to think about it, especially some day or two, then you tend to engage your wizard brain,
Yeah.
and that's when you feel a lot of stress. That's when you feel a lot of conflicts within your
Yeah.
emotions and your cognition. And
It's like the
so,
first. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Go ahead.
No, so I was going to say that the first point that they suggested was first get as much information as you can and understand what's the
Yeah.
decision you're trying to make.
Would you say that's the key, right? At the end of the day, I totally understand there's all these factors. At the end of the day, what is the decision you have to make that's right in front of you?
Yes, and sometimes here's where miscommunication comes in. You think it's this, but actually it's that. Then that's because whoever put the decision before you didn't put it nicely, or put it well, or didn't give you enough context for the decision.
Yeah. One of the phrases that I hear a lot, Gordon, is the word is I assume. You can't assume. If you don't know, clarify, don't assume, because a lot of times, unless you know that that's the way that it's going to be and you know that person, don't assume, understand the decision that you have to make.
Exactly. And I think that's exactly what the first point suggests.
Yeah. The second one, identify how you feel about the decision that you have to make. Talk to me about that one.
That's a little more effective in a sense that you have this decision in mind, or this decision question in mind, and then you're gonna like weighing your pros and cons, seeing what are the threats, what are the opportunities, and understanding that maybe you'll be doing a mental swap, or you may be doing a pro and con list, or you may be looking at what gets in the way of an execution. And so these are things that you need to process as you think about it. So imagining that and understanding that could be very important.
Got it. And also, in terms of understanding how you feel about the decisions, pros and cons that you have to make, the ramifications, what you're fear of,
Yes.
and really be able to name some of those things. So you have to clarify what that decision is. What at the end of the day, what decisions you have to make. But what am I feeling? Because there are consequences, good or bad, as a result of those decisions.
Yes. For example, threats could be very fear-inducing,
Yeah.
whereas opportunities could make you a bit too optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah, because like for instance, like even in terms of what you said is your kids are grown now, but if you took on an additional coaching job, that means you're not going to be available for your son or daughter in this regards. And so as a result, you're going to have to deal with that. So how do you feel about the decision that you have to make with that sense?
Exactly. Like for you, if you didn't go out and find ways of improving the financial situation of your organization, then that becomes a threat, and that could weigh on your mind emotionally.
Like one situation is, okay, if I walk away from this project and choose not to, I give away the income, but how I feel about it is I don't like dealing with some of the people I work with. I get frustrated with some of the people I work with. Well, how do I deal about that? I don't like the pressure because, and so now, but at the same time, I have to make a decision. Now you got to figure out what all those things play a role in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which
Third
then
one,
brings us, yes, go ahead.
visualize your success and how it feels.
Exactly. And I think this is so powerful because if you made a decision, this is the other end of the book, and visualizing the success, assuming you have to start by assuming that you made a good decision and whether you should go with that decision, because that's the testing point. Visualizing that end point gives you a very crisp uh, uh, visual of what you hope you want to get to, what we call outcome.
But why is that so important though, Gordon?
Oh, well, because most of the time we make a decision thinking that, oh, it might be this. But as if you don't take time to visualize what this is, it may not be able to sit well with the emotions. Give you an example. If I took on the coaching project and all of a sudden three other projects came in that I knew was going to be in the line, then I'm going to feel really, really lousy.
Yeah.
I feel very angry with myself, in fact. And so that's the visualization of that end point. Whereas if I took on that project and say, okay, I know that I can push away two other projects, and at the end of it, I get paid. Wow.
Yeah. Last one, apply the emotional bookends.
Exactly. And as I described earlier, the emotional bookend starts with emotions you feel as you face the decision. So this feeling of, well, would I have time for my family, or would I have time for my coachee, or would I be turning away, opportunities that may be more interesting to me? So that's the start. But at the end of it, if I decide, or if I took the two scenarios, one taking up the coaching project, or the other not taking up the coaching project, and visualize what is going to happen in between, then I can look backwards and say, okay, this is it. I like this. And so sit with that emotion.
Very good. Emotions aren't the enemy of good decision making. Would you say you're an emotional person? I mean, a lot of times I've gotten to know you for a little bit. Would you describe to me that you were an emotional person?
Actually, not. My wife always tells me I am like a stone. I don't cry. I don't. I have no emotions.
And you're pretty even
But that's
keeled
not true.
from what I've known you, right? You're pretty, for most part, you're pretty calm in all matters.
I think so. I like to think so, at least.
Yeah. Have you ever, do you remember a time when you got really, really angry over a situation at work?
Angry, yes. But I suppose really, really angry. I don't know. I have to ask my team members then.
Yeah. Emotions aren't the enemy of good decision making. Tuesdays with Gordon and Tan. Gordon, thank you so much for everything.
Thank you, Tommy. I hope you have a safe passage back home.
Well, thank you. We'll talk soon, okay?
Cheers.